Hi, this is Jamie with That's Incredible, and today we are going to be making this adorable bumblebee card that says "You're the bee's knees." We will be using lots of techniques today. We have distress oxide inks, we have foil, and we will be embossing with Black Ranger embossing powder. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we're gonna do this background. And what we need for that is I have taped to my clipboard here. This is a piece of Strathmore Bristol Smooth watercolor cardstock. I also have a piece of plastic wrapping from some dollar store gemstones. And I have my distress inks. So with my plastic, I'm just gonna lay it over the top of my watercolor paper. And then I'm going to smoosh my distress oxide inks into the plastic, just like that. And this one. Then I'm going to take my water spritzer and I'm going to spray this a couple times there, and I'm going to flip the plastic over and smoosh. And voila. Then I'll set that aside and just wipe my plastic off so that I can use it again. All right, and so that's what that looks like as it's drying. It's almost completely dry. And so I'm gonna continue to let that air dry, and I am going to get ready to do some stamping. And the first set I'm going to use for the honeycombs is this Simon Says stamp set that says, it's called Be Yourself. I'm gonna use the stamp that says You're the Bee's Knees. And I'm also going to use these honeycombs to decorate the background. And then for the main bee, I'm going to use this set by Pink and Main. This is called Bee Day. And I'm going to use this little bumblebee who's holding the balloon. All right, and I will be coloring this with Copic markers. I'll go ahead and that one will work. All right, so the first color I'm going to stamp my honeycombs in is Scattered Straw. I'm going to ink that up. And I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and set it down. And I'm going to pull right back up. And then I'm going to repeat that process again. Flipping it this time. Go ahead and stamp that. And voila. That looks so nice. So I'm not going to take my honeycombs off the block just yet. I'm going to heat set my watercolor paper to make sure that distress ink is all dry using my Marvy embossing heat tool. Make sure it's good and dry. All right, looks good. Now I'm going to take my Versamark, and I'm gonna get ready to do some embossing and foiling. So I'm gonna take this and just rub my anti-static powder all over it. And then I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. Now this is just an old clipboard. I had made it and I didn't like the way it turned out for a former student, and so I just use this to do all my watercoloring on. So it is a decorated clipboard, but not decorated for any other purpose other than I messed up on it. And I'll leave this tape here and I can use it again next time I watercolor. All right, so this is what it looks like, and I will trim these white edges off when it's time to mount it onto a card. So with foil embossing, what you want to do is you want to use Versamark, and it doesn't matter what color embossing powder you use for this part. Some people just use clear because I'm going to be embossing in black in just a little bit. I'm going to just use black because the foil will cover it up anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and just randomly stamp these honeycombs with Versamark ink. Then I'm going to go ahead and stamp again. Alrighty. I got some sticky ink on my mat there. Alright, so that's all cleaned up. Now I'm going to take my tray here and I'm just going to sprinkle some embossing powder over the top of what I just embossed. So it looks just like that. We'll go ahead and set this aside. I'm not going to clean it up quite yet because I will be embossing again here shortly. Turn on my heat gun, make sure it's good and hot. And then I'm going to just emboss those honeycombs in black. Make sure the embossing powder all is melted. And then over next to me here I have a Royal Sovereign laminator. It was about $30 on Amazon. I'll link that below. Alright, that's good and set. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to run this through my laminator. So I have a piece of parchment here and just a piece of cardstock that I keep in there for a shim. And I'm going to set my piece down, and then I'm going to take some gold foil and just lay that right over the top. Close my parchment pocket, and I'm going to run this through my laminator. Now it only takes the laminator about 5 minutes to heat up, so it doesn't take a lot of time. Mine's probably been heating up about 10 minutes. And while that's running through, I'm going to go ahead and get my bumblebee out and get it ready to stamp. Here we are. And my piece is just about ready to come out of the laminator, and this is where the magic will happen, is when I take this gold foil off. Alright, so that's through my laminator. I'm going to shut my laminator off. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to just peel this back. Now I'm not going to throw this foil away because there's still foil I can use on another project. And there we go. That's the background. How pretty is that? All right, so there's our background. And I'm just gonna go ahead and set that aside. And I'm gonna work on my bumblebee image. I always keep little scraps of white cardstock here on my desk, so I'm just gonna use one of those. And then I'm gonna use my black Memento ink. There we go, to go ahead and stamp my bumblebee. Now I'm going to stamp him twice, just in case I mess up on the first one. I'm ready for the second one. There we are. Okay, I am going to start. So my background is going to be blue. So I think I want the balloon to be blue. Set that baby white up on my cardstock, and it made it a little wet, so I got to dry that a little bit. Okay, so I think I will use B28 and B23 to color my balloon. And I always color darkest to lightest. I know a lot of other people who color go lightest to darkest, darkest to lightest, but I find that I'm able to achieve the look I want just going darkest to lightest. Go ahead and color this. And I'll just go over this edge here and kind of blend it out. And there we are. There is my blue balloon. I did get a little bit out of the edge here, so I'm just going to take my white gel pen and just cover that up like it was never there. I'll go ahead and trace this balloon. Give it a nice solid edge there. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my gel pen and I'm going to add some highlights to the balloon. There we are. Now I'm going to go ahead and color the belly and the legs. I'm going to use 100, C7, and C6 for the black. Just using flicking motions with my marker. C7, blending that black in. And then I'm going to come back with C6 and finish up that stripe. Going back and forth to blend that 100 and C7 out. Then I'll go ahead with the C6 and color his arms and legs. Using just a very light touch so I don't go out of the lines. There we are. Now for the yellow, I think I'm going to use Y06 and Y02. Go ahead and start with his head, using flicking motions again. Coloring darkest to lightest. All right, how cute is he? Now for the wings, I'm just going to add a little bit of C1 for some shading. So I don't really want a lot going on with the wings. I think I might add some Prisma glitter to those in a little while. All right, well, I think that bee looks great, so I'm gonna go ahead and fussy cut my bumblebee out. I'm gonna start by cutting that one off and setting it to the side. And I'm gonna go ahead and just fussy cut my bumblebee here, leaving a little white trim around him. And remember, when you're fussy cutting, you move the paper, not the scissors. Nice and easy around his little feet. There we are. Again, continue moving the paper. Cut off any extra scraps if they're in your way. Now the antenna, just do the best you can to get as close as you can. You can always come back and trim that closer with an X-Acto knife. And I will do that here in a second. Here we are. All right, there's my scraps. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my X-Acto knife. I'm going to just get just a little bit closer to this part of his antenna, the best I can. And then I'm going to take and cut this little section out. All right, here we are. Get that cut right in there. Take my little filer and kind of straighten that out a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of some Zig 2E glue, and I'm just going to put it on the wings. And then I'm going to take a little bit of Prisma glitter and tap it on with a paintbrush. So that it has just a little bit of sparkle. Go ahead and hold my bumblebee with my tweezers over my glitter. And there we are, just a little bit of sparkle. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. All right, now with my stamp platform, I'm going to put my card background on here. And I think I want the bee's knees to be over on this side. I know it was on the left on my original card, but I think I want it on the right for this card. Right there. Okay, go ahead and pick that up. Stamp with my Versamark. Go ahead and take that off. And I'll go ahead and cover that with the black Ranger embossing powder. There we are. Done with that now, so I can put the lid on it, and I will clean up that other mess here shortly. All right, that looks so cute. All right, well, that's cooling off. I'm going to go ahead and take and put my stamps back on their original packaging and get those put away. We are done, and then we will be ready to put this card onto a card base. I just love this Simon Says Be Yourself stamp set. It was the stamp of the month this month, and I've had just a blast playing with it. All right, so those are all done. Go ahead and set those to the side. All right, first I'm going to score my card base. This is a standard A2 size card, and I'm going to score it on the landscape side at 4 1/4. There we are. Go ahead and burnish that edge with my Teflon bone folder. Now I need to trim this piece down. Since my card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, I'm going to trim this down to 3 3/4 by 5. So there's 3 3/4. And I'll trim a little off that edge and make 5 inches on this edge. There we are. That's our background. And then I think I will take some foam tape here and cover my back of my card front to make it more three-dimensional. All right. Go ahead and peel those off. There we are. One more piece here. Go ahead and center that right on the front. And then I'm going to take my little bumblebee, cut a piece of foam tape for the back of him. A little piece for the balloon. And a piece for his body, and then I'll just set this aside. Go ahead and peel the backing off of that and off the balloon. And then we will go ahead and pop him on here just like that. And then I think for a little added interest, I'm going to take my liquid glass from Close to My Heart. And I am going to put some on the balloon. Just a nice thin layer to give that balloon some shine. And a little bit on his eyeballs. There we are. Always tap that down so your tip doesn't get plugged. Then I'm going to take some black, ebony black, and Simply White Nouveau drops, and I'm just going to add some drops to the background since this card already has to sit to dry. I think my little nozzle's plugged. I always have a little needle sitting here. Stick that down in there. Black is done. Now I'll add some of the Simply White. I love the Nouveau drops because you can control how big or how small they are. This one dribbled. Just take a pin and clean that up. And we are done. So this is the second card. This was the original right there. Original on the right. Second one on the left. A little different, but still the same. So please comment below and let me know what you think. If you'd like to see any new techniques. I always love to try new techniques. Like, share, and please subscribe. Thanks, and have an incredible day.